Welcome to On the Spot. I'm here with Skye Michiels. You might have seen him around Compass offices and around the Compass back in the day, but he's a real estate coaching and he's done his own now. So, Skye, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Hey, well, thank you so much. It's great seeing you again and great to be
Yeah.
on. And my former role at Compass was I was the head of coaching nationally. So I did that for a couple of years. And before that, I was the managing director for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And I've been in the real estate space for about 25 years. And a year ago, almost to the day, actually, a year ago, almost to the day, I launched my own coaching company. I left Compass, launched my own coaching company called With Heart Coaching, and it's really a company that's focused on teaching agents how to actually build a real estate business that's rooted in not just the tactics and the tools of real estate, but also the human being. And how do you actually work on the human side and the real estate side all at the same time?
So, we're on the spot. We could go through these questions and go from there.
Awesome.
You
Yeah.
ready? Okay. But we'll start this one out. So, what's your take and thoughts on the real estate market, going forward and what we're seeing now? I know you're around it all day.
So I've been in for 25 years. And the way I'm describing this market, 2008, we had a real estate crisis. I'm describing 2008 as like a hurricane. Came in real fast, real strong, destroyed everything, but every single person felt the hurt. And every one of us, right after that happened, even though it was tragic and really, really challenging and difficult, there were a lot of things we could do and that were created to help move sales along. Sales, um, tax credits, first time home buyers, right? So there's a lot of energy in the market, even if things were challenging. 2025, 2025 right now, this real estate market I'm equating to a drought. And in a drought, you used to dig, let's say 30 feet to hit water in a well. Well, now we got to dig 100 feet deep,
Mm.
right? So the reality is we're just in a situation where we're at all-time historic lows as far as inventory goes. But the other factor people need to be aware of is we have also competing companies that are not real estate brokerages per se, but
Mhm.
are actually actively trying to, recruit buyers and sellers and then sell them off as leads. Okay, Zillow, Redfin, et cetera. So we have sort of these two competing factors, historic lows. We have competition that didn't exist like it did back in 2008. And as realtors, we really got to go back into what is the thing that we do have that those companies do not have? It's our humanity, to who we are as people, and it's our relationships. And this market, I've never seen a market that has, I've never seen more people, sort of in tears, so to speak, than over this market. It is
Yeah.
very, very challenging right now. And mainly because of the fact that a lot of people are doing all the right things, they're doing the things they should do, and the results just aren't showing up, right? And
Yeah.
and this is something, if for anyone on this call that's an athlete, sometimes we go through these moments in time where we're like, I'm
Totally.
practicing, I'm doing all the things, I'm not winning the games. What's going on, right? And that's, I think, a lot of realtors are experiencing that. Um, when you're in those moments, for anyone that's like listening, and if you're experiencing that, the thing you have to tell yourself is that this is not forever.
Mhm.
And this time frame that I'm given right now is actually a gift that I'm given to get better and to outlast my competition, right? If I can actually work at improving my craft, improving my skill, getting better, deepening my systems, deepening my relationships with my sphere of influence, my past clients, whatever it might be, when things do start to change and shift, I'm going to exponentially explode versus just sort of limp out of this time frame. And that's my challenge to every realtor I work with now, or anyone that's even listening to this now, is what can you do to focus on getting better, even if the real estate market is crazy and unpredictable, and politics is unpredictable, and
Yeah.
interest rates are unpredictable, et cetera. Right.
Mhm. Yeah. A good analogy right there. Good share. You want to share a struggle that you went through and or like quote or you both that.
I mean, struggles are many, so it's hard to
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah.
I'll first just say in a high level, like struggle is part of life, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we Most people, you are not who you are today because of your wins. Usually, you are who you are today because of your losses,
Mhm.
right? And that's, I think, the thing that we have to reframe. I always look at a struggle as a gift, So I'll just, hey, a year ago today, I left a very secure, stable, job at Compass, right? That I
Yeah.
loved in order to build a company that I had a dream and a vision around. And
Mm.
so a year ago today, I was making zero. Yeah, I was losing money in essence because I was investing money in the company. Um, so that's a very challenging thing when you have, two kids who are depending upon you. I still had payments from divorce, alimony, child support, bills, etc. And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
trying to build a company at the same time. The bills don't stop, so you have to actually dig deep and you have to actually create a belief that things are going to happen from the actions that I'm taking. And so 2 year or a year ago to right now, that was a really challenging time to go through where every morning I had to wake up. And even though I didn't have any clients yet, I had to tell myself I'm going to go out and I'm going to go work, big 12-hour days at building something. Because I know
Mhm.
if I build it, I know I'm going to get the clients to come in. So that for me is a big challenge, and still, yeah, I'm still in a very big build mode, even though it actually has been a really incredible year, and I'm extremely proud of what I built in 1 year. It's awesome, but that is the most recent struggle that I've sort of gone through, is leaving a company that I loved, forming something from scratch and having to grow it from nothing to into what it is today.
Okay. Cool. Good thoughts. How about a quote? Do you have a quote that you want to share that you live by, or?
Yeah. Be where your feet are is one of my go-tos.
Okay.
I actually have a board up here where I have a bunch of quotes. If you're
Yeah.
open, I'll share several others if that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Share a couple. Yeah.
what you are not changing, you are choosing.
Okay.
Really great quote, right? What you are
Okay.
not changing, you're choosing. So there's something in your life that is not a positive and you are not actively working at changing it, you're choosing it, you know?
Yeah.
Really good quote that I live by. Uh, Another really great one is this one from Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
You can't be great without the greatness of others. For any athletes on the call, you
Yeah.
need to live and die by the quote. Business people, if you're a
Yeah.
realtor, if your team around you is not a good team, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
But if you have a great team around you, you can be great.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more. Goals are not finish lines, they're just mile markers, right? The reality for a lot of us on this call that are listening, you have these goals you want to accomplish and you set these, if I sell, 30 million, if I buy this house, if I buy this car, if I do this, that's my goal. Well, the reality for all of us is that when we achieve a goal, the instant we achieve it, what do? We set another one. So you want to remove this mindset and this thought process that a goal is a destination. All a goal is a mile marker in your journey, right? So that's the
Yeah.
meaning of that one. So the
Okay.
be where your feet are, though, is my favorite quote. And the real meaning of that, the real meaning of be where your feet are is the fact that happiness is actually not in front of us in the future. It's not behind us in the
Mhm.
past. It's actually right where we're standing right now, no matter what's happening in your life. Good, bad, struggle, wins, losses, etc. It's all part of this journey. And for most people, they're either going through anxiety over an unknown future that most likely is not going to happen,
Mhm.
or they're beating themselves up over the past and regrets they have around the past. And what they're not doing is they're not being where their feet are. And that's really the key to life, is finding happiness right where your feet are, right in that
Yeah.
given moment. So
Cool. All right. Good quotes right there. What do you watch nowadays? We got a favorite TV show on Netflix or Apple TV, or what's
yeah,
something that sticks out?
I'm not a huge TV guy. Like, I try to
Okay.
avoid it, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
right now I'm watching 1923, which
Okay.
is it's sort of like, if you know this show Yellowstone.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a show 1887, and then this next one 1923, which was sort of the prequels to Yellowstone. And I'm a history
Okay.
guy, so
Yeah.
I'm really into history, American history. I think we can learn so much from
Totally.
studying history.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's actually the show that I'm watching right now, and I like it because they only release an episode a week. It's not like I stay up till 2 a.m. binge watching 8 episodes.
It's kind of
So
like Game of Thrones was like that when it came out. You
yeah,
had to wait, make the suspense, and then here it comes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A big game. I did watch Game of Thrones. I
Yeah.
read the books and everything like that. So that
Oh, I
was
never read the books, but the books are good though. Yeah.
amazing because
Yeah.
they do an amazing job on the shows of film of creating a very dynamic TV show and TV series.
Yeah.
The books fill in all this background and detail that you can't do on the show.
Yeah.
Uh, they're big books, like 1,000-page books.
Wow.
But I would recommend you read them if you enjoyed the
Okay.
show. Read the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
well worth the read.
I know. Cool. Let me ask you this. So I know you come back from a background of rowing and stuff. What's an accomplishment that you want to share from
Yeah.
your rowing days and that maybe apply to today's workforce and stuff?
So I rode in high school. I played football and I was on the crew teams. When I went to college, unfortunately, I wasn't good enough to be a Division I football player.
Mhm.
And maybe luckily, I was good enough to be a Division I rower. So
Yeah.
I went to Syracuse University. We had a Division I program. It was really cool back then because all the athletes worked out in the same weight room. So I worked out in the same weight room as like Donovan McNabb, Marvin Harrison, some really great football players. Not that they knew me at all, but
Yeah.
we weren't
Yeah.
in the same weight room at the same time. So, but the guys that I grew up around, they really became my brothers.
Uh,
So there's about from my class, there's about 10 of us from my class and then about 10 from the class above me as well. And we formed this like brotherhood that was just so incredibly tight and strong that exists to this day. And I think the lesson that I learned is the fact that you will push yourself 10 times harder when it's for the brothers, the family that's around
yeah.
you
Hmm.
versus if it's just you alone. So I think the biggest thing that I learned from my experience of rowing at Syracuse, and we had a really great team. And, my senior year we were like ninth in the nation. Very successful season. But the biggest thing I learned was the fact that there's so much power in team and
Yeah.
in a community. And to this day, I could pick up my phone and I could send a text out to 20 guys and say, I'm in trouble. I need help, and there'd be 20 people volunteering. Some people would be at my house in 10 minutes. Some people
Yeah.
would be getting a plane ticket to fly here. Some people would be like, how much money do you need? Or whatever it might be, right? And that's the power of the team. It continues beyond the experience. So, that's probably one of the greatest lessons I learned from rowing at Syracuse was the fact that there's so much power in team and in
Mhm.
teamwork and in, again, that quote, you can't be great without the greatness of others. I was surrounded by great men left
Yeah.
and right. And that by surrounding yourself with excellence, you become extremely excellent yourself.
Which program was the best you think you went up against in the rowing days? I
Well,
mean, you can you
to
remember?
this day, actually, yeah. So back then, and even into the today, crew is a sport dominated mainly by the Ivy Leagues, and then by
Okay.
actually several West Coast teams. University of Washington, and then Cal
Okay.
Berkeley are two of
Yeah.
the best teams
Yeah.
usually in the country. The West Coast, they have an advantage because there's, on the East Coast, a lot of people go, there's a lot more schools rowing on the
Yeah.
East Coast than on the West Coast. And now it's changed a lot over the 20, God, I graduated in 99, so I guess 25 years ago. So it's definitely has changed tremendously in the 25 years, so
Yeah.
there's a very, especially on the female side, there's a lot of women's programs that have sprouted up.
Mhm.
Um, but the Cal Berkeley and UW were always the powerhouses from the West Coast, and on the East Coast, you always had the Ivies. So we
Okay.
were, and to this day, I mean, Syracuse has a great program right now and an amazing coach, David Reichman. The class above me and my class, before we got there, the program was in a little bit of a slump. So
Yeah.
two classes, I think, were the beginning of a sort of a resurrection of the program. And then, my senior year, we came in ninth in the country, which was it was a very big accomplishment back then. Today, the program's in amazing shape, and we have a very strong alumni base and support. And
Cool. That's good. Are you watching March Madness? What are your thoughts on that? Your bracket? What's your prediction? We're in the
so
Final Four this weekend, so what about that?
I was so excited. I still am excited because it's so hard to win a bracket. I'm in a pool of 100 people. Going into the Elite Eight, I had 7 of the 8 teams, and I was in second place. After picked Michigan State to win. They lost, unfortunately. That dropped me to 12th, but only by a few points. But the cool thing is, I picked Houston to win it all.
Yeah.
So there's no one above me right now that has Houston. So I'm the biggest Houston fan right now. And if they win it all, I'll win the pool. If they don't, I won't. It's sort of
Yeah.
like I'm all in on Houston and we'll see. We'll ride it. And then, again, the good news about it is that I'm the only one that picked them, partly by design, because I didn't think a lot of people would pick Houston to win it. So if they
Yeah.
are able to pull it off, I'm gonna definitely I should be able to win the pool. If they don't pull it off, then I won't. But I'm really, it was the first year in a long time that my pool was like right there. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's coming. So
Yeah.
I didn't believe that all four one seats were going to make the final four.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, I think I'm in a bracket of mine. It's about 120 people or 30. I think I'm in the top 20.
yeah,
So
it's,
if Duke wins, I'll win like third or something place. But I mean,
it's great.
but it's a nice payout. I mean, if you're the top two or three, you're
Yeah.
making a couple of grand. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's exciting. So let's go Houston for me. All
all
right,
right.
Steve.
Um, what's something that you did in the pandemic that you didn't do before that you picked up that you might use today? I know it was a kind of
Yeah.
five years out of that, but yeah, what was something you?
What's something I do today that I didn't do before the pandemic?
Yeah, or maybe
Um,
you might have picked up. You know?
Yeah. I mean, online education, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily say before the pandemic, the idea of doing a Zoom call was pretty rare. Like we did do them
Yeah.
here and there,
Yeah.
but the idea of anyone taking a training that wasn't in person, it was pretty foreign to most people.
Yeah.
So I would actually argue like my company pretty much wouldn't exist without the pandemic. I probably right now would still be selling real estate if the
Mhm.
pandemic didn't hit. So
Yeah.
the fact that the pandemic hit during the pandemic, everyone became accustomed to doing Zoom calls and
Yeah.
scaled group programming and everything like that. So
Mm.
again, I feel really lucky that obviously I don't feel lucky that pandemic hit. I feel lucky that when it did hit, I made the most of it and I was able to
Yeah.
launch this company as a result.
Okay. How sports and relate to business? What are your thoughts on that, real quick?
Ah, God. The best thing about being in business is it's exactly when you're an athlete,
Yeah.
you grow up every single day of your life as an athlete, you are competing. And we thrive on competition. Like me, my crew guys, my football teammates or whoever. I don't care what it is. We could be eating dinner and it's like who can roll up this rolled up napkin and make it in the garbage can. We're competing,
Yeah.
right? And there's something about competition that when I'm in I don't care what it is. If I don't know how to do it, I'm still going to compete. And it's not a competition in a negative way. It's a competition to like push yourself.
Yeah.
And it's so incredible. And then, especially as a college athlete, every day you're in it. You're competing, you're thriving. It ends again, crew. We ended after graduation. So I graduated, the competition ended, and it's like all of a sudden it's gone from your world. And I started
Yeah.
out as a teacher, so my first couple of years I was teaching before I got into real estate and you get into this world where competition no longer really exists anymore. And it's a really bizarre scenario that you enter where it's like, oh my God, like I'm missing this piece of me. So
Yeah.
one of the things I loved getting into business was the fact that every single day I was back to competing. It was incredible. It was such an awesome experience because I was selling real estate. And again, the competition is never me against other people. It's always me against me. And I was able to really lean into that. So everything you do in business, you can relate back to sports, teamwork, competition, pushing yourself, practicing, right? I can
Yeah.
go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Everything inside of real estate or inside of business is directly related into athletics. Not to say if you're not an athlete that you can't be an incredibly successful realtor. That is, there's lots of successful realtors, but just
Yeah.
to say the lessons you learn as an athlete can be directly translated into real estate. And it's a piece of real estate that I just absolutely love.
Good. Good thoughts on that. What's your dream car? Do you have one out there you like?
My dream car, I would probably say, I'm not a big car guy, but
Okay.
there's something about a Jeep, like an old school Jeep, by the way, too.
Okay.
Like, something that's like beat up. There's sand in the bottom of the car. It's on the beach, top down, something that's like just a fun car. That's honestly, that's my dream car. Like I'm definitely
Okay.
not a car guy. I right now I drive a Volvo XC90, which is like I call it like the tank because I feel
Yeah.
like in a tank when I'm in it, because it's like really safe. And I had two kids, and
Yeah.
it definitely has saved me from about 10 accidents because of all the
Yeah.
safety features of it. So it's a
Yeah.
great car to have. But if I ever had unlimited funds, I would buy the most like souped up, like coolest Jeep out there and just live at the beach and never take the top down or never put the top up. So,
Nice. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the EV car? I've experienced that. What do you think about that?
yeah,
It's coming
yeah.
out here and stuff.
I love it. I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah.
My sister has a Tesla right now, and there's a little backlash against Tesla right now. But I will say,
Yeah.
driving an electric car. I mean, I'm so ADD. My fear would be that I would forget to charge it. You know,
Yeah.
because even with a gas car, like there's times where like, oh wow, like I have a mile before I run out of gas. Like I better fill it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fear is like I would always run out, but I think it's the future as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think as more and more, we need to figure out how to become less dependent on fossil fuels and all the above. And honestly, they're really great, powerful cars. So I think it's a really great thing.
Yeah. Cool. What age would you want to go back to if you could live? What age would you go back to?
Ah, good question. I would want to go
Yeah.
back to college. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man,
Freshman
I
year, varsity year, what year would you take what?
probably. Yeah, it would either be my junior year, probably my junior year. My junior year was
Okay.
so much fun because, it was the two classes like
Yeah.
98, 99 together.
Yeah.
We also went and competed overseas in London, and in England at the Henley Royal Regatta. It was
Oh
awesome.
wow.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
so much fun. So that was like a really incredible year. My senior year was great, but it was also really a hard year because I was student teaching and rowing. It was a
Mhm.
amazing year. Like I wouldn't change that for anything. But I'd
Yeah.
probably say I had the most fun my junior year, just because it was our two classes together, and every day felt like we were just hanging out, with your
Yeah.
best friends, like rowing. It was so much fun.
Cool. Um, what's a field trip that sticks out to you that you remember growing up that you did as a kid?
Good question. A field trip that I'd stick out for me is probably going to like the Intrepid down in New York City because of the fact that I
Okay.
was really into history.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
big.
in New York City, like
Yeah.
they got the USS Intrepid, which is the aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's just awesome to be on like a ship that big. And again, I'm a
yeah.
huge fan of like World War II, and I'm a huge fan of just American history in general. And
Yeah.
so that's the one that sticks out in my mind as like
Yeah.
really memorable. I grew up in upstate New York, so it was an easy field trip that we went
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
And again, nice thing of growing up in the Northeast, there's so much history. I live in Philadelphia right now, so I'm surrounded by history. So anything that dealt with anything historical was my
Yeah.
favorite.
Cool. Yeah, we had the Carl Vincent out here and the SS Hornet was,
Yep.
and one of those kind of cool to walk in those, and then of course Fleet Week comes out here every year, so you can see all the ships and the planes. So
Yeah. It's
yeah,
pretty
it's a cool little
amazing.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like the Hornet and think of like where that ship went and what it went through. It's pretty
Yeah.
incredible to think
Yeah.
about.
Totally. Yeah. So what generation did you grow up in? I'm guessing are you millennial or are you outside the?
I'm
Are you
I think I'm Gen X.
okay?
So I was
So what are your
late
thoughts on like with the tech and ChatGPT with the kids nowadays, how they have it, and we or us, we kind of grow up with it. But what do you think of that?
I think, and like I said, every generation has their thing, right? When I was growing up
Yeah,
in Gen X, like we were the last generation, I think, without cell phones in high school, right? So millennials, I think, were the first generation
yeah,
to
I remember
start
getting it towards the end.
cell phones. Yeah. And I think that's, I have a lot of opinion on that and healthy or not healthy, but it's reality, right? Like we're not getting rid of it. But when we
Yeah,
were growing up, that was right when music was transitioning and, MP3s, and this was in college, like that we had
Napster. Yeah,
Napster, right?
yeah,
So it was the beginning of this information. So I have a really unique experience because I have a sort of a foot in like those old school growing up days where, my mom had no idea where we were in the day, like in the summertime. We'd
yeah,
just be riding bikes all over the neighborhood. I was delivering a paper route at the age of 12. Like, anyways, all this stuff where
Yeah.
Nowadays, I look at my 12-year-old son, I'm like, I can't imagine him delivering a paper route on his own, And again,
Yeah.
it's like weird thing, and part of it is technology
Yeah.
because of the fact we're exposed to so much more now. Our nervous systems are always on point and are on fire, so to speak. But at the end of the day, I think technology is a piece of our future and of our current life. It's going to be a bigger
Mhm.
piece as we go into the future. I think the bigger thing we need to lean into is how do we maintain and enhance our humanity in the midst of this technology. And I think
Yeah.
with real estate is a good example. Like a lot of agents have gotten so far away from the relationship side of the business, but yet the relationship side is where you make the most money. So I think there's this world where, we have to dive deeper into um, we have to just dive deep into this humanity and how does the human being get enhanced by technology and not hurt by technology?
Yeah.
Uh, and I think there's obviously lots of layers to this conversation. Especially given
Yeah.
TikTok and, X and Facebook and Instagram and all these things that are really
Yeah.
designed to distract us.
Mhm. Yeah.
We do have to really do some soul searching about it. But, at the end of
Yeah.
the
No,
day,
good. Yeah, good thing I
oh,
remember the paper. Well, I think there's maybe one or two people that get the paper now, but when I was a kid, everyone had it. So
yeah,
it's like a
yeah,
lost,
yeah, it's
thing.
a
It's
lost
all
art.
digital now.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
There's a call, you can still get a delivered paper, but I don't think, it's so far between. It has to be someone that has a car. Do you know what I mean? Because since so few
Yeah.
people, back when I was
Totally.
12, I had a paper route.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost every house got a newspaper in the morning. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I subbed for a friend of mine for his route. Could you go on vacation? I did a couple times, and I remember it was the studying was hard because it was so packed with all the ads, and you had to
uh,
figure out either go in a truck or and how
uh,
your mom or someone help you. I think my dad helped me a few times with that, but it was it was definitely remember that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. A lot
And
of
how about
characters.
the kids that rode on the bike and did it.
Yeah, yeah. I walk. I
Yeah,
tried to do it on bike. A bike was just too hard because it was like
yeah,
you'd have to get off it anyways. I was just and every house got it. So,
yeah,
anyways, it was
cool,
I just walked, and it was
yeah,
great. Great memory though. I love
yeah,
good memory having a paper route.
yeah. What's a movie you watched that you seen recently that you liked or that was good or bad? You want to share?
I mean, tons again. I'm a huge movie guy, so I'm probably the classic dude, right? Like, so I love Braveheart, I love
Okay,
Saving Private Ryan, Gladiator, some of those classic. And then
you
the
saw
other
the
side,
second one?
yeah, it is good. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
liked
didn't
it.
think it was
Yeah,
the best, of course, but
yeah.
I was entertained by it, I guess.
And what do you
Let's
think
say
about that scene with the movie or where they're in the water on the boat and they're fighting in
that
the
like the
Coliseum?
sharks. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
historically they did flood the Coliseum,
yeah,
but they didn't bring sharks in like that.
yeah,
That was pretty unrealistic.
yeah,
Uh, but they actually historically they did flood the Coliseum and have naval battles in the Coliseum.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
piece was accurate, but the sharks in the water, like they're in the middle of Italy, you can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just figuring how they can capture it and drop it in, and yeah,
and again, I mean, if
yeah,
sharks need to have water moving across their
yeah.
gills
Well,
to
they
survive.
don't like in captivity they don't survive. Like they try with great
No,
white, they just don't. They just die out. Yeah,
no. So,
yeah,
anyways, but again, it's a
yeah,
movie. So if you go in trying to critique it like that, you're not going to enjoy
yeah.
yourself. So it is a very enjoyable movie. But I love on the other side, I love comedies.
Okay.
So anything with Will Ferrell, I love.
Yeah,
So Dumb and Dumber is one of my all-time favorites.
yeah.
So
Okay.
just great comedies that are out there as well.
Yeah. Cool. Are you an Apple or Android guy?
Apple all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hate to say it, it's just so easy to have an iPad, a computer, a phone that all sort of
Yeah.
communicate together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Android, and then when you're in the group chats and like that one Android
Yeah.
user in there, and it's like, come on.
I know
So
the
I
green
just,
bubbles. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I like the Apple phone. I know Android users they're all about the Android, but I just think there is something that's so easy.
Yeah. Cool. You want to share a tip of the week or a business tip, success tip?
Yeah. Tip of the week is every realtor should focus on creating conversations with people every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of our training and a lot of our coaching we're taught to create conversations around real estate. The
Uh,
irony is create a conversation that has nothing to do with real estate or loosely tied to real estate. So, for example, if you're listening to this now, here is a tip. Here's a little script you can use. Go into your past clients
yeah.
and or anyone. You can even go through your phone, right? And you see someone you haven't talked to in a little bit. You send a very simple script saying, "Hey, Stephen, I was going through my records today. I ran across your name and it made me smile, or made me
Mm.
think of you, or made me think about a great memory, or whatever it might be." All you got to say is, "I hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon." Period. You don't say, "How are you doing?" You don't, you just sort of put it out there. Hey, I saw your name. That made me feel good. I just want to let you know that. Hope you're doing great.
Oh,
And when you create conversations like that, inevitably, if people want to use you for real estate, they're going to say, "Hey, it's great to hear from you. Ironically, we are going to call you or we are going to reach out to you or whatever it might be." And that very simple script, A, it's human. B, you're not asking them for anything in return. And C, you open up the door for conversation about life or about real estate.
yeah.
So if every day you did that just once a day, frankly, but let's say you did that 3 times a day, mainly focused on if you've been in the business for a long time, your past clients. And then once you get through all your past clients, you focus on your sphere. If you're newer to the business, focus on your sphere, right? I will guarantee that simple text script will unlock.
Oh, yeah. Okay, if you were to sit down and eat with somebody, who would it be?
Alive or dead, or does it
Alive
matter?
or dead? You can do both. Yeah. Oh,
All right. If I were to sit down with someone alive, Barack Obama would be mine.
yeah.
I think he's
Okay.
just like the leadership presence that that man has is like incredible. I remember,
Yeah.
watching documentaries around like Osama bin Laden and the raid and killing and capturing him, and just watching the way that he led through a lot of things. I miss that in our leadership right now. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The calmness, the steadiness, the approach. Dead, I would go FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I grew up in Hyde Park, which is where his library is located. My high school
Oh,
was
okay.
attached. And he was just an incredible leader. When you think about presidency, you think about he led the country through the Great Depression and World War II, two
Yeah.
of the biggest threats we've ever had probably to our country beyond maybe Civil War is our greatest threat. Those two events were the greatest threats to the American way that we've gone through, and he led us through both of them. I really think he was just an incredible leader, and especially he was disabled. He had polio, so he was in a wheelchair, and he never let anything hold him back, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of FDR, and that I would love to just go back and just pick his brain.
Good one. And I haven't heard him yet. So, and the bomb
Yeah,
I've heard a couple times. But yeah, good one.
yeah.
If you're stuck in an elevator, who would you want to be stuck in an elevator with?
Stephen Lentz. No, no, if I was stuck in an elevator, who would I want to be stuck with? I'm trying to think of probably some beautiful actress. Insert a
Yeah.
name.
Okay.
Right. If I'm gonna be stuck for hours with someone, I might as well have someone like
Yeah.
really intelligent and really beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Um, uh, who's your favorite sports team and player? I know you're a big Eagles fan and stuff. You guys won a
Huge
Super Bowl.
Eagles fan.
Who's your team
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so
player?
obviously Philadelphia Eagles are my sports team, and the
Yeah.
root of that came from Syracuse because I was there when McNabb was there, and then McNabb
Yeah.
came to play for the Eagles. I was in Philadelphia when he came as well.
Yeah.
This year's team, it was a really incredible run and something I
Yeah.
don't think we've seen a dominant team the way this team was after the bye
Yeah.
week. You know,
Yeah.
um, you think of their playoff games and the way they ran through the playoffs, and then Kansas City Chiefs are the modern day Patriots.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible to see what they did. I played football. To
Yeah.
beat a team that game was over in before halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. And the Chiefs were a dynasty, right? They were going for the
Yeah.
three. They were
Yeah. Yeah.
almost undefeated through the through their season. Like we're not talking about some team that got lucky and caught lightning in a bottle. Like we're talking about the gold standard of the NFL. My favorite player on the team, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
There's so many guys I could go. Brandon Graham, obviously being the older guy. I can
Yeah.
relate to that. I love Jalen Hurts again, the leadership style of being steady no matter what. Saquon Barkley, you can't find a better human being than him and a better athlete than him.
Yeah.
So, I play defense. So I love Reed Blankenship as a safety,
Yeah.
So anyways,
Where did you
there's
play
just,
safety in college or in high school
yeah, I
or
played free
position?
safety in high school.
Okay.
So, and
Okay.
I was good.
So you were
I
gonna
was
get
good.
big hitter or what? Be a
Yeah,
big
I loved
hitter?
hitting.
Yeah.
I love I was like the quarterback in the defense too. I called
Okay.
every defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started from my sophomore year on. I started every game. I never missed a
Yeah.
game from on varsity. So from sophomore
Okay.
to senior year.
Cool.
And by senior year, my coach wouldn't even call the defenses. I would just call them based on
Mm,
the formations and stuff like that. So it
cool.
was sort of like being a quarterback on defense, and I just loved the flow of the game. I loved the violence of the game, but I love the
Yeah.
the chess aspect of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is ultimate team sport, so I loved it.
Cool. Um, so here's one. Did you watch wrestling as a kid growing up? What do you think about that? No.
I never did like the
Yeah.
WWE and I
Yeah.
was
That
into
stuff.
like
Yeah.
when I was growing up, that was when I was like Hulk Hogan and
Yeah.
like I just never really got into it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool. What advice would you give yourself at 12 years old?
What advice do I give my 12-year-old self? Um, do everything
Yeah.
the way you're doing it. Like,
Okay.
yeah, just keep doing it. Like, be kind, be nice. The way I was, I really look back and I love the way that I grew up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my advice would be just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great.
Cool.
That would be my advice. Don't change a
Cool.
thing.
All right. Go on. How long have you been a homeowner for, and what do you like about the city you live in?
So I've owned my home. Let's see, I bought this in to be coming up in my third year of own. So 2.5 years. Bought it. I settled like July 1st of what is this, 2022.
Okay.
I love the city. I live out right outside the city of Philadelphia now, but I
Okay.
love the city.
Yeah.
I love Philadelphia for lots of reasons. Number
Cheesecakes.
one, love the history. I love cheesesteaks as well. It's great. I love the food. We have a
Yeah.
great food scene, but what I love about the city, it's a gritty city, right? Where
Mhm.
there's a little bit of grit and a little bit of like blue collar aspect to it, where it's like
Yeah.
we know how to grind, we know how to work hard.
Yeah.
We love the underdogs. We love, the people that put the work in and
Yeah.
put the passion in. It's a
Yeah.
very passionate city, and that's the thing I love. I also love where it's located, where, I like seasons, but I don't want to be so far north where it's like brutally cold. I don't want to be
Yeah.
so far south where it's like, humidity and stuff like that. So I love the
Yeah.
location. And then I love where it's located on the East Coast where I can get to Boston, New York, DC easily in hours.
Wow. That's pretty
So
good.
yeah, it's a great city to live in.
Um, okay, if you weren't being a real estate coach, you're not in the real estate business, what are you doing for work?
Great
What's
question.
your,
So if
yeah.
I was in a real estate coach, I would sell real estate, but if I
Okay.
couldn't be in the real estate business, period,
Yeah.
um, I definitely would do something in sales. Like
Okay.
I'm a sales guy,
Yeah.
through and through. I love sales. I love,
Yeah.
I think my educational background, like my teaching background, made me a great salesperson.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't coaching real estate, I would sell real estate. If I couldn't sell real estate, I would be in sales of some sort,
Okay.
medical device, financial services, most likely financial services. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Cool. You got a favorite video game, a board game that you liked growing up or playing or
Yeah.
nowadays? Or, yeah.
Um, so there's a board game growing up called Axis and Allies, and
Okay.
it's really it's sort of like Risk, if you ever played Risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a little
Uh,
bit of a war game, but it replicated World War II, and it was awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
dice. That was my favorite game growing up. Probably if I could
Okay.
play it today, I'd play it today.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I could
What
go
about,
online.
yeah. What about video games? Did you play those or get into those
Yeah,
or
we
not? Or,
we I we were into Nintendo, but I was, again, I played a little bit when I was younger, but
yeah.
sports really was my video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was either, working out, or, playing a sport. So
Yeah.
I really never got into video games that
Yeah. Mhm.
much. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. What's your drink of choice?
My book of choice?
No, drink.
Oh, my drink of
Drink.
choice.
Yeah.
Uh, I love I love any kind of cocktail. Like
Yeah.
I'll drink it all. But probably my favorite would just be like a really amazing, like spicy margarita, like great
Okay.
tequila, no sugar,
Yeah.
fresh ingredients, all made right there. That would be. I love a dirty martini as well, like a steakhouse. I
Okay.
love a great bottle of red wine, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard for me to pick one. It depends on my mood. If I'm at a football game or playing golf, I love a great ice cold beer, fill in the blank. I'm not a big
Yeah.
IPA guy, but anything else I love. Everything has like, depends on what I'm doing and what I'm experiencing, what I like, you
Yeah.
know.
And then you want to share a book that you
Yeah.
like?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm a reader. I think
Yeah.
leaders should be readers or readers are leaders.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by books right now. Probably
Yeah.
here's the one of this is one that has changed my life. It's called Atomic Habits by James
Okay.
Clear. Um it I go back to this book over and over and over, and it really, really teaches you the power of small, consistent action.
Yeah.
And you could set anyone that's listening to this, you could set zero goals, but if you worked
Yeah.
on your systems and processes, you'll be successful,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Mhm.
as entrepreneurs, we often set these goals, but we don't have systems and processes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
achieve them. And that's why we often end up failing at a lot of things that we're trying to create.
Cool. You want to share a guilty pleasure with us? Do you have one of those or?
I mean, guilty pleasure, God, food. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love food.
You got a cheat meal that you eat?
Yeah, God, yeah, I'm a comfort food guy.
Yeah.
Pasta with
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
pizza, cheesesteaks. Living in Philly, obviously we got some
Yeah.
bad food for you. So it's really easy to eat unhealthy here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, food is my guilty pleasure. Like, and I'm a
Cool.
stress eater. Like when I'm
Yeah.
stressed
Yeah.
out, I'm not a sweets guy. Like if I could have a really great spaghetti and meatballs or an amazing piece of cake, I'm always going to go savory over sweet. So
Got
I
it.
don't really need dessert, but I love food. Love food.
Yeah. Okay. What about a favorite emoji? Do you got one?
Favorite emoji. It's a good question. Let's see. What is a favorite emoji? Probably the prayer hands.
Yeah.
I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I think you can convey a lot with those like prayer hands. It can carries a lot of messages.
Nominate someone that could be a guest on the show I could reach out to, or a couple people that might be a.
Trying to think through athletes at Compass. Let me think on that one, Steven. That's a good
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would say Robert Refkin.
Yeah.
That
I
would be
reach out. I'm trying to work on it. We'll see if we can get him
yeah.
on or in
Keep working
person. I
on
know
it.
he's.
It'd
Yeah.
be great for you to get him on for sure.
Yeah. It would.
Yeah.
Something on the bucket list you want to do, haven't done yet. You got something out there you want to do?
Oh man, my bucket list is so big, so deep.
Yeah.
Everything from like places I want to go play golf to places I want to travel to with my kids to places I want to
Yeah.
travel to individually. I would probably say the most reasonable and most likely one within the next year would be a 10-day trip to Europe. Fill in the blank
Yeah.
anywhere. Portugal, Italy, France, Scotland, like anywhere.
Yeah.
I love going overseas to Europe. I've been several times. It's just every
Yeah. You mentioned golf, so like, have you played Pebble yet, I mean, of course, what do you? I mean, how, are you like,
Pebble
uh,
Beach would be on my bucket list for sure.
yeah, I just
So,
played that about a couple weeks ago. Nice course. Yeah.
oh God, man,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I've driven by it, but
It's
never played it.
tough. It is
Oh, of
tough.
course, yeah. You got the ocean. You got
Tons
it's
of sand bunkers, so if you just prepare to be in
yeah.
the sand.
Well,
Yeah.
on Saturday, I'm flying to North Carolina, and myself and three other guys, we're playing Pinehurst
Okay.
for 3 days, and then we're going
Okay.
down to the Masters
Yeah.
on
You're gonna go watch it.
do the Wednesday practice round. We have tickets
Oh
to the
wow.
Wednesday practice round, so
Okay.
it's gonna be pretty cool. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Which you want to share your handicap or
Yeah, yeah, I'm
yeah.
12-7 index, so
Okay.
I can
Nice.
play. It's a good space to be because I can play with anyone, but I'm not like, I'm not a scratch golfer where
Yeah.
if I can have a great day and I can have a bad day and it doesn't bother me either way, right?
Okay.
And unfortunately, given my schedule, I rarely get a chance to practice, so a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
my schedule goes back to just playing, so hence like I've been at this like sort of handicap for a little while. So
Yeah.
this year though, I hired a golf coach, so I have 10
Okay.
throughout the season. I'm going to have 10 lessons and we're going to lay out a practice plan because
Okay.
I want to get I know I can get under single digits
Yeah,
or, in the single digits easily because just eliminating the little stuff, but
yeah,
it's an incredible sport for anyone that hasn't played it. I highly
yeah.
recommend it.
I'm kind of the same way too. I just show up and play. Can't really practice a lot, but you're an athlete, so you can just kind of pick up and do it.
You got it. Exactly. And,
Yeah,
and again, that ball is not moving. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, how is it that we can't just hit it the same way every single
I
time?
know. Yeah, stance
You
and
know?
footwork. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's
Um,
crazy.
so Sky, so how do we follow you and be in touch with you? I know you got some social handles and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the best way to reach out to you and stuff? Share some
Yeah.
handles and stuff.
My website is www.withheartcoaching.com. So nice
Okay.
and easy. My Instagram is my name. So it's at SKYE Michaels, which is Michiels. And then my
Yeah.
email is skye, at withheartcoaching.com. So super
Cool.
easy.
Yeah.
Anyone out there that needs help with real estate life, any kind of advice, coaching,
Yeah.
I'm available to anyone. And
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, and to close out, I'm in the Bay Area. If you got any real estate questions or advice, reach out and got a real estate coach here if you want to reach out to him. And he's a good guy, everything. And we met at Compass, and from on the spot, we're out of here. Yeah.
awesome.
Any final words, Sky?
Now just be where your feet are, people, right? Be where your feet are. The joy is found in the present moment in anything you're doing, even if it's challenging or hard. Uh, be where your feet are, whatever you do.
Cool. All right, guys, we're out of here.